What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your pie-loving host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady with a little bonus from r/TodayIFudgedUp. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called I Don't Work Here, But We Are All in the Same Century. I've been sitting on this for a few months because I was having trouble shortening it, but it still annoys me, so... For those who don't know, the Amish don't use modern technology, but it varies by sect. Some have phones, some even drive cars. I know you can find some with faults, puppy mills are a problem, but most are the friendliest, kindest people you'd ever meet if you are English, as they call us. There is an Amish-owned bulk health food store near me. The kind of place where you can get things like 5 pounds of good quality instant oats for 49 cents a pound, and all sorts of specialty flours, nuts, seeds, and so on. The family that owns it has no electricity. Lighting is skylights supplemented with propane lights when needed, coolers run on propane, and so do the registers. Also, for various reasons, they don't take credit cards, and there are multiple signs. Cash or check only, on the entry doors and around the registers. This is important later. So here I am on a major stocking up trip to the store dressed in ripped jeans and a flannel shirt. I brought my mother so she can get a few things. In walks entitled Shopper. And how she found this place that's on back roads in the middle of farm country, I don't know. In her defense, I had left my mother with my carts and my purse in a chair by a small shelf of cookbooks. And I was down on the floor moving bags of flour around looking for the largest size I can get. Excuse me? Excuse me? Don't they have any coffee in here? And where are the dolls? Sorry, what? Coffee! Where's the coffee? And why can't I find any dolls? And those other homemade things? Well, coffee is 2 aisles down on your right, and they don't sell dolls or crafts here. What do you mean? Of course they do. That's how these people make their money. It's all they know how to do. Now show me where the coffee is, and we'll need to-go cups. It finally hits me that she wasn't just asking the first person she saw, but she thinks I'm an employee. I don't work here, I'm shopping like you. And this is a grocery store, not a tourist shop. They don't sell hot coffee or crafty things. This is when it gets weird and I get a little angry. Of course you work here, you're stocking the shelves. Besides, these people always have someone like you around to help them. What? You know, someone who's not so, She waves her hands like she's searching for a word, then lowers her voice sort of conspiratorially. Backwoods. Someone normal who actually lives in this century? And she gives a snide little laugh like she made some original joke. Okay, so here is where I wanted to yell at this woman and tell her exactly where to stick her opinions, but I realize I can't because I really don't want any of the owners or actual employees to hear what she's saying about them. And I am extremely thankful no Amish shoppers have come down the aisle during this. Ma'am, this business is fully Amish owned and run, and I can promise you they're very capable, probably better at it than you and I, put together. They don't need or want anyone to interpret for them. I still don't work here though, and it sounds like this isn't the store for you, so maybe you should just move on and find some tourist trap to buy your crappy souvenirs at. I got lucky here. Entitled Shopper took a deep breath like she was gearing up for a major hissy fit when my mother comes up with a half-full cart and says, "Did you find the flour yet? I'm done with the cookbooks and we need to be home by 2 p.m. I stand up and say, "Got it, Mom. Found, I forget exactly, but this many pounds and that many pounds, in separate bags. They don't seem to have one large bag, so this'll have to do." I lug the bags into the cart, say excuse me to the entitled shopper, and hightail it to the next aisle. Very grateful she just stood there, apparently trying to figure out if she was wrong and I was actually shopper, or did I just bring my mommy to work with me? All I said to my mother was, "I'll tell you in the car." Not the most explosive story, no fights, no police involvement, just quietly tried to put her in her place. But here's where some wonderful karma comes in. We were delayed checking out when we asked about specialty salt. They only had small 1/4 and 1/2 pound bags on the shelf, but said a shipment had just come in and they'd pack us a larger bag if we didn't mind waiting. Here comes entitled shopper and her husband, or boyfriend? I guess they found their souvenirs, because everyone seems to buy these when they visit. They had a couple of shoe fly pies, plus a loaf of fresh bread and 2 sodas from the cooler. Entitled sister tried to pay by credit card and the cashier said, "We don't take card, but I can hold your items if you need to go get cash." And I had the biggest poo-eating grin on my face hearing the so-called backwards Amish cashiers tell her exactly where to find 2 nearby banks that had ATMs, the names of the banks, and which one they recommended because the fees were lower if you weren't a customer. And I have to admit, I rubbed it in just a little. Just then, they came back with my salt, and instead of just "thank you," I threw in, "You are always so helpful. I really appreciate shopping here and how you run your business." It sounded over the top, but I said it just a little more loudly than I needed to, and I'm pretty sure I saw entitled shopper twitch a bit. We had to leave then, so I don't know if she paid cash or just skipped the pies and drinks. So personally, I don't really have any experience with Amish people. However, I did know one Amish guy, okay? When my family owned a small motel in Colorado, there was this guy, this Amish guy. His name was John Yoder, I believe. And I had remembered in class, we learned about the Supreme Court case, Yoder versus whatever the hell. And the Yoder guy was Amish, so I remember being in class, like, completely dumbstruck because I was like, wait a gosh dim a darn second, are they related? I don't know, I was crazy. This story's called "Work Faster or I'll Fire You." Before I start telling my story, which happened 4 years ago, I wanted to apologize for my English and for possible spelling mistakes. As I mentioned, this happened to me about 4 years ago in summer in Turkey when my uncle was having his wedding. I was almost 16 years old and it was my first time that I'd wear a suit to a wedding. Since it was my first time, I wanted to make sure I look great in it too, so that day I took off my jacket because it was really hot outside and I didn't want to have sweat marks all over my nice and new white shirt. So there I was outside this wedding venue, greeting other guests and welcoming other relatives. Now this is when things get interesting. So there was this catering service who was there simultaneously preparing the food for the wedding. They were all dressed the same: white shirt, black pants, and nice black shoes, and a normal belt. Problem was, I looked the same, and I didn't have anything on me which could possibly tell that I'm different than them, and since I took off my jacket, they couldn't tell either. Standing at the entry welcoming guests, an employee, he was around 35, so there was a huge age difference, and he looked way bigger than me, approached me and asked me what the heck I was doing. Nothing? Do I know you? Don't just stand there and start moving fast and do something. Guests will be very angry if the food is not ready in time. I thought he was kinda joking about all the stuff, since we were dressed exactly the same and I was young too. But apparently, catering services hired anyone who had 2 arms and legs. And because I knew the sense of humor Turkish people have, I thought he was just trying to be funny. But then he approached me again and asked me if I wanted to get fired, and that he'd do anything to make sure I wouldn't get any money for what I did until then too. It was that moment I realized he wasn't trying to be funny anymore, but was dead serious about it. I was angry at him because he was being this disrespectful towards a guest. And so I responded in a very angry way, telling him to step off and leave me alone. I could have told him that I wasn't working for the catering service, but I didn't know he wouldn't get it. He then grabbed me by my arm and threatened to beat me up if I continued disrespecting him, knowing I'm apparently preventing them from getting the food ready just in time. Of course, everyone started running towards me. Can't even count all the people who tried to get him off of me. Just when he finished his sentence, my grandfather grabbed the employee and did the same thing to him and told him I wasn't working for him and that now he wouldn't be working for my grandfather either. The employee supervisor was really ashamed of his employee's behavior and tried to do me a favor by letting him fire me for him. I did fire him by telling him, "Seems like it's you who won't be earning much money today." Cool story, but I wanted blood. This story's called "You're an Air Marshal." This story is very short, but I thought I'd share because it made me giggle a little. I just flew home after a quick business event. I was in an aisle seat. There were 2 ladies sitting in the seats in front of me. They were maybe mid-50s, most likely family because they were talking about Thanksgiving plans. The lady in front of me was so loud, they probably heard those Thanksgiving plans all the way up in the cockpit. Across the aisle from them was a man, probably in his 30s, who was quite muscular. Shortly after the seatbelt sign came off, The muscular man got up to use the restroom, and the lady directly in front of me practically screamed to her companion, "I think that man's an air marshal. He just sat there during takeoff and was really paying attention to everything." To which the other lady just said, "Maybe." The funny part was about 10 minutes later when the air marshal got a drink which happened to have alcohol in it. At which point, the lady said, "Well, I guess he's not an air marshal." Her voice was just dripping with how offended she was the poor man chose a profession other than the one she'd picked out for him. I just got a huge kick out of that. Completely reminded me of this sub, so I had to share. Well, that was quite the cute little story about an obnoxious plane lady. I just love me a cute little story about an obnoxious plane lady. This story's called "Today I Fudged Up by Ignoring the Fact I Have Diabetes." This happened quite a while back. 2 summers ago was when it came to head. Giggity. The reason I am typing it out is A, I made it a small comment in another thread and that seemed to draw some attention, and diabetes really does need more attention, and B, hey, if it helps one diabetic not be a dumb crap like me, good. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes a number of years ago. Might be as much as a decade now, and basically, me and the doctor were both ignoring it because it had been quite steady for years. I've always been fat, bouncing between overweight and obese and back, drank a lot of pop, then into booze as a kid or teenager. Yes, I started young. Having alcoholic parents will do that. And apparently, that, along with a naturally crappy-ass pancreas, my mom was diagnosed after me, so hers lasted longer, but I blame her, was enough for my pancreas to say, screw it, I'm done. If people want actual numbers, I'm 6 feet tall and have been max about 290 pounds, generally bouncing between 240 pounds and 280 pounds. I am large framed, 50 chest even when not obese, and have in the past had quite a large amount of muscle, played football, defensive line, and could bench over my weight, more than double on leg press. I'll note here that I really didn't get taught anything about diabetes or just how crappy it is when I was diagnosed. It was basically, "Hey, your blood sugar is high, take this pill and stop being so fat." You know, the same thing I had been told my entire life about cholesterol and blood pressure. So it didn't really sink in as a real issue, and I was young and dumb enough to not have the focus to look more into it. If I knew then what I know now. I was given the lowest dose of the basic medicine that all diabetics start with, metformin, and my A1C, average glucose resting amount, was quite stable and good, so both the doc and I ignored it. I kept on my medicine and never ever checked my blood, other than the A1C check every 3 months, so everything was fine. Until quite quickly it wasn't. 2 summers ago, I just felt bad. All summer. I was tired, couldn't focus, was thirsty all the time, was waking up to pee 2 to 3 times every night, which is not normal for me. I can usually sleep the entire night through. I had mentioned to my friends that I thought I was depressed. I just gave so little of a crap. All of those are signs of hyperglycemia. You know, a thing a diabetic should be aware of. Yet, I powered on the entire summer like this, completely ignoring the signs and feeling like crap. Thankfully, towards the end of the summer, my wife came in the bathroom after I peed and was like, "Dude, I can smell sugar in the air. Check your freaking blood." I hadn't even thought that this could be a problem. Side note, thank God my wife is a bloodhound. Seriously, she can smell so much more than me. I have no idea if I would have clued in on my own, but seems pretty unlikely given I lived like that for over 3 months. Sugar level was 33.5, around 600 on the other scale I believe. At 35, the blood can start to actually congeal due to the amount of sugar in it. Think about your body trying to push jello around instead of blood. Obviously, this can have very real medical issues, including death. Freaked out, got to the doctor, who was basically like, "Yeah, if this was any higher, you are going to the hospital. Welcome to Insulin Town, dumbass." Fun fact, the urine had around 10 times the normal amount of sugar if I am remembering correctly what the doctor said after the fact. I'm currently off insulin, but on 4 different medications. I thank God daily I am in Canada and have a kick-ass drug plan. So this is 100% free. At my highest amount of prescriptions, I was at about $500 a month. I would have been out of pocket. My A1C had gone from around 7 the last check to 20 the next. Still don't know why, but diabetes does that. It's awesome at making itself worse. Sidetrack, but related. About a week after I got to the doctor and started getting my blood sugars down, my eyesight got wonky. My glasses suddenly were making me see worse than just not wearing them. I went to the eye doctor, and due to the crazy high sugar previously, the molarity of my eyes had changed, and this had changed the shape of my eyes. For me, it was actually a positive change. For the first time in my adult life, I had 20/20 vision without glasses. It was super weird. However, as I got my blood sugar under control, my molarity returned to normal and thus did my vision as well. Thankfully, no permanent effects yet. So where am I now? Better controlled now, not perfect. Was good for about 3/4 of a year, then had a bad cycle for 3 months and my A1C shot back up. And my kidneys started showing damage. Yes, filtering all that sugar isn't good for them. So currently am trying harder again. It's a fight. Every damn day. I hate it. I've been on the waitlist for 3 years now to have the surgery where they remove a goodly portion of your stomach. They've now included a large stretch of my intestines, so I physically can't absorb as much sugar. I'm actually not fat enough to be eligible for the surgery, but the diabetes and other combined medical issues push me into eligibility. This may seem insane to you, it still seems insane to me, but I honestly think this is my best shot at a long-term solution. I am hungry all the time. I stop eating because I know I am supposed to, not because I'm full. The only time in my life I've ever known what not hungry felt like was during some trials of injectable drugs that are made to control blood sugar and hunger. My God, they worked. It was miraculous. I wasn't hungry all the damn time. It was so easy to control my weight and blood sugar. Sadly though, I couldn't stomach them. Literally, my stomach and intestines were a nightmare after about a week on all versions of them. I tried 4 to 5 times. Diabetes has so many bad side effects. It needs a PR campaign like cancer has had for years. Everyone is scared of cancer, but diabetes is actually affecting and killing lots more people. It's just those deaths are hidden under cardiovascular disease and stroke, both of which your chance goes up for by about 4 times once you are diabetic. Okay, first, if you're really hungry all the time, try getting some ghrelin blocker supplement things. I'm pretty sure those are a thing, but anyways, ghrelin is the chemical that your brain releases to tell you that you're hungry. So that hungry feeling you get when you're hungry isn't actually from your stomach, it's actually from your brain, like I just said. But anyways, yes, I agree, diabetes does need a lot more attention because, especially in America, everyone's freaking got it. My dad has diabetes, although it's not from, being ridiculous with his diet. He's actually pretty good. But yeah, he's had to deal with it for a long time, and hopefully I don't get it, because that would be lame. I like sweet stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.